boys. If you're seeing this, I'm probably dead.
Whoever gave the order to kill me is in the department. They're coming after you next.
Bad Boys Ride or Die. Directed by Adil and Bilal. Hope I didn't butcher you guys' name. Screenplay by Chris Bremer and Will Bial. Produced by Jared Brockheimer, same brother that helped produce Hightown. Will Smith, Chad Oman, Doug Biglegard, and of course it stars Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, Vanessa Hudgenson, Alexander Ludwig, Eric Dane, and for those of you that love Power, Melanie Liburd is in this thing. She was Professor Megram. And how can we forget Tasha Smith? And you'll also see a cameo by my guy John Sally and Tiffany Haddish. Plot on this one. Detective Mike Lowry marries his physical therapist, Christine, that is Melanie Liburd. He and his partner Marcus delve into an internal investigation within the Miami Police Department following accusations that their late Captain Howard was tied to drug cartels. Y'all know goodness well Captain Howard wanted no drug cartels. Despite Howard's tarnishing, Mike and Marcus are determined to prove his innocence. Their hunt for the truth leads them to Mike's son Armando, who's in jail for the murder of Captain Howard. Armando claims that Captain Howard was not corrupt and offers to help identify the person responsible for his murder. As they transport Armando to Miami, a series of events lead to a helicopter crash, leaving Mike, Marcus, and Armando as fugitives hunted by both law enforcement and criminal gangs.
I'm up early for the dealers come out. Everybody is outside till the killers come out. You ain't eating, you just act full. I'm impactful. Dozen funerals in a month. I got that pull. I will give it to niggas in all rap forms. Ignatius out right now on all platforms.
We just got finished seeing Bad Boys. Me and my wife, my normal TV reviewing road dog, came to road to see a movie. And I don't know how she feels, but all I can say is what a way to start an epic summer of action movies. Careful if you haven't seen it. There are going to be a few minor spoilers, not a lot. Honey, I want to hear what you got to say, but first let me say this to the audience. The MVP goes to Reggie. Reggie is in this movie, y'all, and his ass is tough. I do believe they can make a spinoff with Reggie, who is Will Smith's son, and then we can have Armando is Will Smith's son, and Reggie is Marcus's son-in-law, and then we've got Captain Conrad's daughter who could have a trio spinoff. Having said that, honey, what are your initial thoughts about this Bad Boy film?
I was thoroughly entertained. I really enjoyed the movie. It's very action-packed, a lot of comedy, I think, in the places that it needed to be. So I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the comedy, they do a great job of pacing comedy with action. If you're a new filmmaker, you're trying to figure out how to balance an action movie with comedy and what they call a buddy cop movie, this is your dissertation. And I've heard a lot of people say that they felt like this was the best of all of them. I'm not ready to go that far. I would say it's definitely one or two. I'm still very, very sensitive to the second movie in this trilogy, this quadrilogy, but this was a damn good movie. Comedy, action, non-stop. What was your favorite part about this movie, honey? Other than Reggie.
Yeah, that was my favorite. When Martin finally got a taste of sugar.
Oh my Lord, yes. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, in this film, without giving too many spoilers, let's just say that Marcus has been put on a diet. And he can't have sugar, fat. His wife, who is being played by Tasha Smith, has him on a diet based on what has happened to him from his hospital experiment that you'll see in the very beginning of the movie, which is going to be very funny. But when he got that first taste of sugar, it was like seeing one of them stock traders on New York Stock Exchange get their first sniff of coke. He was going off.
Right.
And how did you like the dynamic of the different family dramas that all kind of coalesced at the end for one union?
Yeah, well, let me just say the dynamic between Martin and or Marcus and
Will
Mike
Smith,
Lowry.
and Mike Lowry.
Yeah, I've always liked that kind of like more seasoned cop and the young stud type cop in Will Smith. And so I love their dynamic, and that continued throughout this movie. But in the very end, I didn't think about that. The three family units kind of coming together or whatever. But I think it was well placed. It went over my head until you pointed it out, but I liked it.
Well, that's what you got me here for, honey.
Goodness.
I review movies and TV shows. I see things. Hell, I'm writing scripts. I'm looking at movies with a different lens now. And one other thing that they did, ladies and gentlemen, was this film was kind of a passing of the torch, because the type of action sequences you would normally see from Will and Martin, they had them, but they didn't do them as much because they had Will's son Armando do a lot of it. And then you show what they can do with Reggie, who is now Marcus's son-in-law.
Right.
And so this was kind of a passing of the torch in the realm of Bad Boy, which could easily allow me to see another Bad Boys film come out, because they kind of passed that torch. And they did it in a very, very good way. This was a great transition. And as my wife said, the dynamic between Will and Martin, unbelievable. The best buddy cop tandem, and that's even talking about Beverly Hills Cops. This is the best buddy cop tandem I think we've ever seen in film. Debate me. Y'all let me know if you think there's a better one. I will say this too, honey. I loved how Will Smith's character, Mike Lowry, was very vulnerable this movie, when most of the time we don't see him as vulnerable. And he was vulnerable because he felt some responsibility for the captain dying, because it was his son that took the shot.
Right.
And he also felt some vulnerability of losing something because of that, which was his new wife, played by all my Power fans. In case you want to see Professor Megram, she is Mike Lowry's wife in this film. Melanie Hubbard plays his wife, and she uses her real English accent in this movie too. What did you think about her placement in this movie, honey?
She did a good job. I mean, we're used to seeing Mike as this bachelor.
Yeah.
And so finally, he's come of age and he's married, gives him a little bit more of a responsible flair. He has something to lose this movie, whereas before it was just him against the world and his, little chicks. But I enjoy seeing him in that role.
That vulnerability.
Yeah.
Not to mention that he's having a health scare that I'm not going to completely spoil, but just know that he's having a health scare that is creating a situation for him to always be thinking about the people that surrounds him. How did you like the dynamic of him and his son, and him having to save his son because these bad guys are basically trying to put the blame at his foot?
Yeah, I'm like, him saving his son or his son saving him?
Oh, both.
His son is bad.
Badass. She's talking about a jail scene where they come for the son, and wait till you see what the son do.
Yeah, he handled his business. And like you said, I think the son stood up in this movie.
Right.
So you got, so Mike Lowry's son, and then you got Martin's son-in-law. Like you said, I can easily see them pairing them together.
100%.
I mean, but granted, Mike's son is a
fugitive.
A fugitive, yeah. So I don't know how you're going to clean him up. I guess you can come up with a way to do it.
Yeah.
But that could be the new duo. But yeah, I enjoyed seeing Will with his son. I guess it would be nice to see more of that dynamic family feel.
Right.
I guess they didn't have a lot of time to develop that. This movie is just kind of sprinkled in a little bit. But yeah, it's nice to see.
They also took one of those classic shots of Mike and Marcus where the camera pans around them coming from the ground up after they've just escaped doom. And Crystal was like, that is their classic movie shot. Signature shot. They did that. And so now we're getting to ratings, things that we like, the different specs that make a movie good. I feel like the script was fine. I mean, this is not Oscar, but this is when you have an action movie. I don't know how many action movies have won an Oscar, but the script was good enough that you was thoroughly entertained.
Right.
You had plenty of laughs, and you felt satisfied at the end. Did you or did you not feel satisfied at the end?
I felt satisfied. I mean, you were invested in the storyline.
Right.
It wasn't anything, guess it just gave you something to do during the movie. It wasn't anything like spectacular, but it was a believable storyline. They were building up on the last season.
So,
I mean, the last movie.
So we say the script was fine, okay.
Yeah.
Then you come down to the acting. How did you feel about the acting in the film?
Oh, the acting was great. I'll give a shout out to John Sally too.
Oh yeah.
He was so great in his role that I forgot it was John Sally.
Mm-hmm.
So when you forget that, when you put a star in a role and you forget about the star and all you see is the character, you've done a great job.
Yep. Acting, phenomenal. Action, honey. Because this is the point of this movie is action.
Wait, not to mention that he's a Piston, a former Piston. Go John Sally. Woo-hoo.
Okay, this is your first time finding me. My wife is from Detroit, and we don't live there anymore, so there you go.
Oh, whatever.
So the action was good. Comedy was good. How did you feel about the music? Did you feel like the score was well-timed in the right position with the right songs?
Yeah, I think so. I pointed out how when Marcus got his taste of sugar, they were playing Barry White.
Barry White, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Can't get enough of your love, baby. It was funny. And then we get on down to duration. I felt like no time was wasted on this movie.
Yeah.
There was not any point in time I felt like the thing drug on. Now, usually my standard for movies is that I'm a 40-plus-year-old man that has very young children under the age of 3. Can I go to a movie theater and not fall asleep no matter what time it was?
Yeah.
I didn't even think about sleep this movie. Me and my wife had lunch right before the movie, which usually puts you to sleep. And no, sleep was not on my mind. So automatically, this movie get a 7.
Right.
So having said that, honey, what would you rate this movie overall?
Honestly, I would probably give it
On a 0 to 10 scale. I forgot to tell you, my scales go 0 to 10.
I was going to say either 8.5 or 9. I would say a 9. Maybe I haven't been to the movies in a while.
Right.
And again, it kept you on your toes. It was action packed. There was comedy. I enjoyed the characters. The actors were great. So I would say I think I'm being a little generous, but I'll say a 9.
Oh no, I give it a 9 too. I can't. The only reason I'm not giving it a 10 is because I feel like maybe they should have done a little more to have me completely emotionally invested
in the storyline.
Yeah, like maybe somebody significant should have died, and then I would have had that would have created the type of emotion that invokes kind of like Oscar whatever it is that they look for. But a 9 is great for me. A 9 is 1 away from a 10, which is perfect for me. This movie easily gets a 9. It's easily worth your money going to see in the theaters. And you guys have noticed how they weave in a lot of big time YouTubers. And they had the black guy who's the most viewed TikToker. He was in the film, so be sure to check out for him. And maybe one of these days, these clowns will rock with me, okay? Because your boy out here hustling. Having said that, honey, what would you say to the audience in closing before we get out of here from this review? Fantastic movie.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. Time well spent. Like you said, it didn't feel like it was dragging on at any point. You basically just get in, have a good time, get out.
Exactly. Well, let us know what you think. Don't forget to like the video, comment, subscribe, get that life gain. Definitely trust me to go see this. This movie will perfectly do well for anyone who's into action, anyone who's into comedy. If you're into a narrative script, you might be a little disappointed. If you're into rom-coms, you might be a little disappointed. But pretty much everybody, no matter what you like, you can probably find entertainment in this movie. And until that next Sex is Hell video, we are out.